Hello, beautiful souls. This is going to be a guided meditation on how to receive, how to take in divine healing energy. Now, for some people, that may sound pretty weird. And honestly, when I first heard about it, it sounded weird to me. It sounded like something not real. Like, oh, that's a cool idea, but that it's not actually, there's no actual divine healing energy and it's not going to actually heal my body. That was my belief when I was introduced to this practice. Luckily, I was very desperate. I had medical conditions that were literally killing me. And so that desperation had me open-minded, got me open-minded. And I heard some testimonies of people who had experienced healings. Some of it was on a documentary movie, but then I actually met people who I could look in the eye who said, yes, I have received healing through this method. That got my attention. And it further opened my mind to where I was willing to give this a try. And I'm so grateful that I did. All those things that were literally killing me healed. I've talked a lot about that here on this channel. And I just don't even have words for the gratitude that I feel. And it's sometimes hard to express, right? Because what healed me and what saved my life is in essence invisible. You can call it the creator, the source of everything, God. I didn't used to be comfortable with the word God until I found this teaching, but now I'm utterly convinced. It's not even really a belief. I just know that there's something beyond the material world, something that is more powerful than, that guides and directs the material world, but maybe even more importantly, is available to help in all aspects of life, including physical healing. So enough talking. Let's go ahead and take in this divine healing energy. It's very easy to do. Please sit with your legs uncrossed, feet flat on the floor, hands on your legs, palms facing upwards, back in a relaxed upright position, if possible, not leaning against your chair, but if you need to, that's okay. Take a nice deep breath, get comfortable, close your eyes, and really separate yourself from all burdens, worries, problems. Really set them behind you, or if you believe in a higher power, hand over your burdens and worries to that higher power. And then ask or have the intention to receive the divine healing energy, the healing stream, and observe your body having the will, the intention to take in this divine energy, welcoming the peaceful quiet. So we'll drop into silence. Every now and then I'll come in and offer a little reminder. Taking in health, happiness, goodness, releasing stress, tension, dis-ease. If your mind wanders off, bring it back. If it's really wandering, you can play a piece of music or say a short phrase or prayer or mantra to help you focus. Focus on observing your body with the intention to absorb healing energy. Letting worries go, putting them aside, handing them over to higher power. Taking in goodness, letting it cleanse everything not good, letting it wash away. All right, I'm going to share a few thoughts about Bruno's teachings. And welcome to all the live viewers. Welcome to everyone watching this video. What's really on my mind today is the power of thoughts. And first and foremost, a very interesting example that highlighted this for me was yesterday. I was outside doing some yoga. It was beautiful. Thanks to Bruno and his teaching, I spend as much time in nature as I can. And yesterday I was outside doing some stretching, and it started to drizzle, very lightly rain. Didn't bother me, but I did have my phone out there with me. And I was finishing up one stretch as it started to drizzle, and maybe had like 6 seconds left in that stretch. But this thought came, oh my gosh, my phone's going to get wet. I need to move it. And so without really thinking, I kind of hesitated for a moment. I'm like, no, it'll be okay. But that first thought was stronger. And so I stopped the stretch, moved my phone under the yoga mat, and then went back to the stretching. And then I said, aha, oh my gosh, that thought drove me. That thought really pushed me, almost kind of took over. Because the truth is, I could have finished the stretch, right? Like I had 5 or 6 seconds left. The phone would have been fine. The phone is waterproof anyway. I'm pretty sure I can drop it in the ocean and it'll be fine, much less some drops of rain. But I was seized by this thought. And I kind of felt like, no, it's not true. But then I wasn't vigilant enough, and the thought literally took over, and I did something that I didn't want to do, I didn't need to do, and ultimately wasn't the most harmonious choice. It disrupted my stretch. Now, this is a very small example. No big deal. I put the phone under there, I go back and I finish up my stretch. I kind of laugh at myself. Wow, that was silly. However, it points out the power of thoughts, because all of us have had the example of we've done something harmful, maybe something really harmful. And then afterwards, someone says, what were you thinking? Or we ask ourselves, what was I thinking? Well, Bruno said that thoughts move a human being to deed. And this is a very clear example. I had a thought, I started to check, and it didn't feel right, but I wasn't vigilant enough. And so the thought took over and literally moved me to an action. Now, in this case, it wasn't that big of a deal. It was not a big deal at all, not significant. But how many of us have had the thought, like let's say we have some anger at someone, and then we have the thought, I'm going to send them a text and let them know what I feel right now. And we don't check the thought, and then we send the text. And next thing you know, it's a big drama or a big fight. Why? How did this happen? Well, the way Bruno Groening describes it is that our soul is like an antenna. And that antenna receives energy, but it also receives thoughts. Now, not all the energy and not all the thoughts that it receives are good. And Bruno said that we have to check every thought that comes. This is literally a verbatim quote of his. Check every thought that comes if it is worthy of being taken up. Now, there's some way in which we don't have absolute control over which thoughts come, but we do have power over whether we take them up. In essence, whether we say yes or no to them, right? Like yesterday, I was just doing yoga and this thought appeared. Move your phone, it's going to get wet. I didn't really have any choice about that thought appearing, but where I did have choice was about whether to, as Bruno said, take it up. The German word that gets translated as accept, a friend of mine who speaks German fluently, she is German, she said a better translation is to accept delivery. For example, if someone if a post person hands you a letter and you take the letter, you don't just accept it, you accept delivery of it. So in that instance, I was being sent a thought of fear, and I felt like, oh, that's not quite right. But I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't solid enough. And so I accepted delivery, and then that thought moved me to an action. In this case, not a harmonious action. Again, a very minor example, but I'll give you another example that's a little less minor. So yesterday it was a bit of a challenging day, and I got some news I was not happy about, and I was a little upset about it. And then out of the blue, and I was taking care of some business on the computer, and out of the blue, the thought came, why don't you go check Facebook? I didn't, and I just instantly did it. I didn't check, I didn't reflect. And then on Facebook, it ends up, I found that someone had left me a really yucky message. Not someone I know. I was talking about something spiritual, and someone who disagreed with me, disagreed in a really yucky way. And so then I felt even worse. I was already struggling a little bit. Not a little bit, I was already struggling. I was not feeling good. And then this thought comes, why don't you go check Facebook? Or go to Facebook. And I did, and boom, there's this. And it really took me down, because I was already sort of, you could say, weak or not centered in God, wasn't present. So, and it literally took me a couple hours to pull out of that funky mood. So there we see an example of the power of a negative thought, and why Bruno Groening called us to check each and every thought. So let's tune in now. Hopefully you're continuing to tune in while I'm talking. I'm trying to tune in as I talk. So let's observe our bodies, having the intention to take in the divine power, and let's watch our thoughts. And as each thought comes, let's check, is this a good thought or a not good thought? Is this a thought I want to take up or not? So it's fascinating to really watch the thoughts as they come. So I had about, 10, 12 thoughts. Most of them were inconsequential. One of them was about something I need to do later today that's important. So I kind of said yes to that thought, and I'll get to you in a little bit. The other thoughts, I just let them pass by. One was a fear thought about something negative happening in the future. I said, no, thank you. And then the thought that I said yes to was that I'm hungry. It's time for me to go get breakfast. So thank you so very much for dropping by. I'm very grateful to God and Bruno Groening that I am alive today because of this teaching. I would not be without it, and I'm very honored to have this opportunity to share some of my understanding of Bruno's teachings. I wish everyone a blessed day. Let's keep an eye on our thoughts. There's a quote from Bruno. He said, "Man forges the weapons of his destruction in his thoughts." That's almost an exact quote. So our thoughts, I'll have to find the exact quote sometime, but over and over and over, Bruno called us to be very mindful of the thoughts we take up. So let's practice it today. Have a blessed day. Thank you so very much for joining in.